imprisoned in this dimension in which I'm drifting.
Alright guys, another walk today. Got a late start today because it's so hot outside. I've kind of been putting it off. But it's like literally 90 degrees outside right now. But had to force myself to get up off the couch. So I guess I'll be out here for an hour or so. So following up from the last video, I'm still pretty sure I'm gonna make a show. I've got my little studio in my spare bedroom set up decently enough to get started. One of the things that sucks though about all this is just realizing once you actually get serious about it, the money that could be required. Like right now I don't have to spend any money because I can just use my phone. But like if you got serious about it, like it really starts adding up when you talk about a camera, a microphone, you know, like lighting. What else am I thinking of? Like gimbals and tripods and all these things, you know. None of that is in my immediate future because I'm just gonna see how it goes with my phone. But I can see where this is going. If it got, you know, some momentum, I'd be inclined to like shell out some money for something, some gear to make it as good as it can be. But yeah, we don't have to worry about that right now. Even though I said I don't have to worry about that, it's still like weighing in the back of my mind like a potential burden. Because like, for example, right now I can use my iPhone, but ideally you would have a camera dedicated to your studio so that you don't have to like set it up every time you go to record. Because when you go to record, you got to like find the right angle, find the right volume settings, you know, all that stuff. So that's the benefit of like almost buying double. You know, you have your phone camera that you can use whenever you want to, but then you have a dedicated studio camera. So it's stuff like that that quickly adds up. But like I said, that's not really anything to worry about now. So I'm just shooting the shit, trying to keep my mouth moving so that we have something to talk about here. Speaking of that, I was thinking, you know, when it comes to making videos, you kind of need to care about something. If you care about something, if you care about a topic, an issue, if you care about something, then you can, you know, speak on it, and it will be easy because you're passionate about it already. So the words will just kind of flow out of you. So I was trying to ask myself, like, what do I care about? What is it that I want to speak on? And at 45, I'm having a hard time coming up with anything. Like, there are topics and issues that interest me, but even those quickly, let's take a detour here. But even those topics that I'm interested in, you know, I've been interested in them for like 5 or 10 years, so now they're almost kind of boring to me, you know? So I don't know that there's anything now that I care about. When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I was a Christian, so, you know, I was passionate about God. And then even when I left Christianity at age 23, maybe I can do a video on that sometime and just kind of break that all down. But when I stopped being a Christian at age 23, you know, I spent some time maybe being passionate about my potential future, how, I don't have the chains of Christianity holding me back. The future seemed wide open. I could, who knows what I could become. So, I spent time, I thought maybe I would go into law school. I thought maybe I'd be a lawyer or something. I got a bogus ass paralegal degree because I was thinking about going that route. But, I worked as a paralegal at a few different law firms, and it just sucks. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go to law school or anything, by the time I got done with that. And I was never really that guy. I think I was dreaming bigger than my social class would allow, because I come from like low or middle class. Nobody in my family even graduated college. I was like the first person. My mom technically graduated when she was an adult, like when she was like had already had kids, and she was like in her 30s. So she was doing like night school, and she doesn't even use that degree. So technically I think she was first, but in my family really it was kind of like me. And my degree's bogus. It was at a night college, community technical college type thing, total waste of money. So anyway, where was I going with all that? Yeah, so like when I was a Christian, I was, passionate about Christianity. And then when I stopped being a Christian, I was passionate about my potential future. But now I'm living that future. I'm living that future, and there's nothing for me to be passionate about, that I'm still a wagey I'm going to be passionate about. That I'm still basically broke outside of a couple of things that I own. I'm about to take a job where I make like $19 an hour, which I start that on Monday. So this is my last little bit of freedom before that starts, but this week. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, what am I passionate about? So like when I scroll Twitter or YouTube or whatever, looking for like things that interest me, ultimately I'd stumble onto, like race realism and evolution and philosophy and all that kind of stuff. But I've been doing that for like 10 years, and I don't know, I'm almost bored with that stuff. And I can't say I'm passionate about any of that, because it doesn't really lead to anything unless the collective beyond me would embrace it. But I can't control that, So, what was I gonna say here? So yeah, like race realism, yeah, that's important to recognize that race is a biological reality. It's not a social construct. But if 99% of the people around you don't adopt that, it's kind of meaningless. Like it's non-effectual. It doesn't have an impact in the world. You need people be outside of yourself to believe that, and I can't control that. So I think I've kind of lost interest even in that, even though I still believe it. I still believe that it's a real thing, and then philosophy, I spent some time like being curious about philosophy, and I still like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, and I was watching a documentary last night on Philip Mainlander, who's like supposedly even darker than Schopenhauer. But I don't get super into it, because at the end of the day, I feel like the philosophers, they didn't really get anywhere. Like, this is going to sound silly, but their philosophy wasn't so magical that it stopped them from aging and dying, right? Their philosophy, maybe it's true, maybe it's close to reality, but it still didn't stop them from the fate of everybody else. So I'm not saying we shouldn't explore those topics, We definitely should. But as I'm getting older, maybe I'm getting a little more selfish, and I'm interested in like, well, all this thinking in my life, it hasn't gotten me anywhere. So maybe I'm thinking now, I'm only interested in what's going to be beneficial for me. So we'll take a little pause here while we pass people up here, so it's not awkward. But I always feel the need to pipe down around strangers because I don't want to bombard them with my negativity and be like walking past somebody and be like, yeah, life is meaningless and I should off myself, you know. I don't want to be saying, I don't want to rub off on them, ruin their peaceful walk. Although deep down they're probably thinking about the same shit. During their walk, they're like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I've got to come up with something. We're all thinking that. We're all trying to figure out a way to maximize our potential and, you know, make the most of the time that we have here. So, anyway, where was I going with all that? Yeah, so I was trying to answer the big question, you know, like, what am I passionate about? And I've almost got nothing, man. You know, it's like, I like making music, but that's more of just like a me thing. Like, I don't expect that to go anywhere. That's more like just a kind of creative outlet. I like conversing about these controversial topics, but you need other people. You need other people to do that with. And the world has made it clear that, you know, if they are interested in those topics, they're not interested in having that conversation with me. So if it's just gonna be me in this life, what am I gonna do? You know? And that gets me thinking, like, I don't want to. Let's let these people. That gets me thinking, like, I don't want to just spend the next 30, 40 years just living the way I'm living right now. But I don't see a viable alternative, really. Like, even if I came up on money somehow, you know, let's say just overnight, I got it like $1 million or $1 billion or whatever, I think I would still be basically doing what I'm doing now. You know, I'd be probably in the company of some beautiful women, but I don't think my thoughts would change very much. You know, maybe I would go travel and, you know, live in, you know, a different resort every month or whatever. But ultimately, my brain is going to go with me, and my brain is, you know, what it's been for 45 years. So I think I would just take these thoughts with me. So the future is looking kind of bleak, if, you know, that's all I've got for the next 30 to 45 years to look forward to. It's just more of this. And you know, I would like to find something worth giving my life to. You know, not necessarily like I'm talking about martyrdom, but I wish there was something that I believed in so heavily that I was willing to give my life to it. And I guess that's why people, you know, that have kids, they solve that problem, that existential problem. They solve that through their kids, because their kids become the thing worth dying for and living for. So yeah, they normies again with the W. Normies with the constant W's. Normies get health insurance and they get meaning fulfilled by having kids. You know, they're, even though they're not thinking about like maybe what their offspring will have to go through. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, normies with the W, constant W's for the normies. And I'm doing all this thinking and pondering and self-examination, and I've got nothing. Better to be a bot, apparently, unless something happens for me here in the fourth quarter, you know, or overtime, whatever I'm in. But anyway, I guess that's probably enough. It's like 15 minutes. I thought maybe I'd only talk for like 5 minutes this time, but 15 minutes is probably good enough. I appreciate it if you're watching. You know, lately these views I only get like 10 views per video, so I don't know what I can do to improve that. The normie advice, bro. I can't keep saying that word, bro. It's so freaking annoying. But the typical advice would be to just keep making more videos. So I guess that's what I'll do. Just keep putting videos out. Anyway, thank you. I will talk to you later.